Everybody, it is beautifully cold today. I mean, it is actually like really cold for some reason. I don't know what the heck is going on here, but today I wanted to bring you something since I just basically got done with the S10, and I wanted to kind of go over the cost of what I've spent on it, my cost, and also how it can, you can reduce the costs and spend just a little bit less money and do it yourself. So let's take a look at here. I'll show you what I'm going to be doing here today. So as you can see, this is my 5.3 liter S10 right here. She's no slouch, but let's go over what it took and how much money I spent building this here truck. The cost is going to include buying the truck, the motor, trans, everything, and then we'll break down, let's say you own the truck already. We'll break down that price, and let's say you can do some DIY stuff yourself, and then just some, there's gonna be several stages that we can break the cost down where it costs you less and less money. Let's jump into it. Okay, everybody, so let's get down to this breakdown, this parts breakdown, I should say. So as you can see, I spent $300 on my truck and $400 on the engine, $200 on the trans. I spent a lot of money on eBay getting a lot of my stuff, so it's something to keep in mind. I got my engine mounts there, I got my rings, my head gasket, my bearing, my trans rebuild, my Corvette servo, sun shell, my headers, my radiators and fans, wiring harness, starter, harness, adapter, EGR, delete, cold air intake, all of my fuel system. Yeah, I got all of that off of eBay. And you see I have my parts breakdown of each one of those items. And I ended up buying the cross member from G-Force directly. You can actually use your own cross member, just modifying it a little bit, which that will lower the cost, and we're going to get into that here very shortly. But for right now, we're basically going over what I have here, and it ended up costing $24.50. 89, which isn't too bad. It's under $2,500, but it's mostly because the truck was so cheap. But let's move on to, let's say you already, you have some skill and you're willing to do some DIY. So you're willing to do a little bit of the work yourself, which is good because it's going to lower the cost a lot. So if you're willing to do things like reuse your cross member or make your own wiring harness, not do the Corvette servo, you won't need the harness adapters as well. So with that, you can actually lower the cost to $1848.91, which is a good bit less than what I was spending on mine. Now you can get a lot less. You can get a lot cheaper too, which is what we're going to get into very shortly. Which is what we're going to be doing there is, let's say, you own the truck, which, that could be from $300 to $1,000 that you can either remove from the cost or add to the cost. It's just the way it's going to be. But let's move on to, let's say you have the truck, but you throw the engine in and you don't want to rebuild it. Let's get on to that. So you have the truck, you have a motor, you have a trans, and you're just going to throw them in, and you're going to do a lot of the work yourself. So you're looking at about $1,200 that you're going to spend to do that. Because, if you have the truck and you're not rebuilding anything, all you need then is the engine, trans, mounts, let's see, headers. If your intake has the EGR, you're going to want to get the delete, but you could easily build your own stuff. It is completely possible. You're going to need some sort of cold air intake, so it's going to be necessary. The fuel system, it's going to be required. That's one of those things that you just got to have. And the computer, you got to have that. That's just the way it is. It still brings the price down a good bit. Now with mine, I was able to reuse my rear end and my drive shaft. Now I don't plan on keeping the rear end in place. I plan on going with an 8.8 at some point, but for right now, it's going to get me by. I'll be welding it here soon. But really, that's a nice, good parts breakdown, and yeah. As you can see, it can cost some, but you can also do it for a lot less if you're willing to do the work yourself. And it's going to take some work. It's not easy, but whenever you're building something such as this, you never expect it to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, then everybody would have already done it already. So keep that in mind when you're working on it, and enjoy, have fun.